Hey guys, this is Naveen here. Welcome back to Naveen Automation Labs. So once again, we have one more mock interview, and today we have one really good candidate. Her name is Shikha. I think having a resume and having 8+ years of experience in different things like functional testing to automation and different tools and technologies, and it's a rich experience, no doubt about it. So hey Shikha, welcome for the mock interview. I hope you can hear me and you can see me properly.
Yeah, hi Naveen. Hi, how are you?
Great. I'm good. How are you? How are you doing?
Great.
Okay, great, Shikha. So all set like for the mock interview, we will try to make it, just try to replicate just like a typical automation interview that we take or testing automation interview that we take. Okay, Shikha. So the stage is us. And what exactly you're doing in current company? Like, what's your total experience and what's your current roles and responsibilities in terms of testing? And I'm more inclined towards automation because your resume reflects a lot of things in automation. So can you explain me more about it?
Yeah, actually, I have 8.5 years plus experience, and most of it is in automation, like 4.5 years plus experience is in automation. I've done back-end testing automation as well using JMeter and Postman, and I've
Mhm.
also got an opportunity to work frameworks from scratch in Selenium as well for front-end testing. So I
Mhm.
worked on healthcare applications as well in my previous company, and in the current company, I am into more of a e-commerce platform. So I have experience in both backend and front end. I've used Eclipse tools like Eclipse, Postman, JMeter,
Mhm.
and for CI/CD, we've used GitHub, and also
Mhm.
used Azure DevOps for tracking bugs, writing test cases, in maintaining test plans there.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah.
So you have worked with the e-commerce applications. So tell me, like, for to test e-commerce application, what are different major challenges that you have faced with respect to e-commerce applications? Okay, yeah, these are some really critical things that you tested and enjoyed to test those applications.
Actually, this project I've just begun with. So earlier
Mm-hmm.
projects I have more experience with. This one is, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
the new company, but I can still tell you what I have begun with.
Just tell me at least one or
So
two scenarios you have seen that, okay, yeah, this e-commerce is quite complex application in terms of backend, in terms of front end, or in terms of APIs. Any specific scenario that you want to explain?
yeah, actually, one of the main part was that in this one we are getting
Mm-hmm.
email from a mail portal. We are basically automating the APIs to the mail portal, and from
Mm-hmm.
that mail portal we are getting they are being saved in a queue, and then mails are being shooted to our inbox, in the client's inbox basically, and
Mm-hmm.
mail should be triggered within 15 minutes only. So they can be manually triggered also, like manually shooting the hand fire, and then waiting for it to automatically get into our email is 15 minutes timing in
Okay.
which the queue would be shooted to our email. So basically, when I was automating this, I had this challenge that every time I have to create a scenario, I have to shoot an email, and after that I have to manually trigger that hand fire because I cannot wait for 15 minutes to get it to be
Mm-hmm.
because in automation we don't have time to wait for 15 minutes to all the mails to come in the inbox. So immediately when I had to post the API, I had to shoot the get request also to get it immediately. So for that I had to face a challenge, and I had tried many scenarios for the same. So it was a
Okay.
JSON request which we created in Pojo, and
Hmm.
then creating it was a very, very complex JSON. So for the complex JSON, initially we had to make like there were questions and answers inside the JSON and inheriting arrays and then a list also. So another
Mm-hmm.
class for question and answers, and in from that another class for a list.
Mm-hmm.
So like that, it was that complex. Four classes for one single, creating one single, obtaining one single JSON only, the correct schema.
Okay, so were you validating the schema also wherever you are getting the response? Because you're saying that okay, the request also is a quite big JSON, and the response also I'm pretty much sure that okay, you must be getting some quite nested JSON or parent to child, and then in the child also we have multiple array or JSON arrays are there, and then you
Right.
were validating against your POSO. So how exactly you were traversing the JSON, or what are the different things that you used? Like, did you create any generic function for that, or how exactly you were doing that?
Yeah, we first initially, I used Excel sheets for storing the data, and from the
Okay.
data, getting the data, I was converting it to a list,
Mm-hmm.
and then using that list to fill my JSON,
Okay.
and then sending the JSON data from the JSON. And when I was getting the response, I was parsing the response for initially we did for just to complete the framework. Initially we did for response code only, parsing just the response code and response message and checking
Okay.
the necessary things.
Okay.
Not getting the complete, not parsing it to complete Pojo again and getting every single item from it. Initially,
Mm-hmm.
we did the framework like this, and then we optimized it on later when we thought that it's stable enough. After that, we
Mm-hmm.
implemented the other part to check every
Okay.
single item.
Yeah, that I really like this approach because initially you were checking the response code and basic things, and then taking to the next level with respect to the response body also. So like
Yeah,
whatever the response body that you are getting in the JSON, you are converting into POSO once again, right? So
right,
there must
right,
be
right.
some serialization and deserialization. So which library you actually used to do that?
We were using rest assured only.
Okay.
Just yeah, rest assured only, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't exactly name, don't remember the exact name, but primarily rest assured only.
Did you use any object mappers or something like that, like with respect to
Yes,
Jackson?
yes,
Okay.
yes. Jackson. Jackson was the name of the library.
Okay. Okay.
Faster Jackson,
Fast.
something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Great. So tell me like five important things that you will always consider for the API, because I can see you have some really good experience, and I can see in your resume also having good experience on API automation or backend automation. But tell me like to test any backend or any APIs, what are the five important things that you should always consider to test it? That it should be there always in your list to test it.
First of all, a basic of designing the complete suite starts from data. Like the data should be uniquely created at the same time. It should not be
Mm-hmm.
the previous same repeated data that you are posting again and again, because we cannot correctly check the response then. So the
Mm-hmm.
data should be freshly, uniquely generated with any unique ID, whether it be some date or time, or in some name also you can add a unique random number at the end so that the ID is freshly generated at the runtime. And
Mm-hmm.
then whenever we are sending any request, we should verify that response code
Question.
and response miss.
Yes,
Sorry.
my question is about the five important things that you will consider to test any API. Fine, that's your
Okay.
approach that you be maintaining the data in Excel file and randomly generating the data and all such things, which is absolutely correct. But I'm more, interested to know about what are the five important test cases that you will do for API.
Verification of the data, verification of whatever action we are performing, like if we are doing port patch or anything or delete, if we have even deleted, we should try to get the resource again and then verify that the resource exists or not, or we are getting 404, and we should verify that error message also, error code also, that we are getting this which is required. So
Mm-hmm.
one is this, and then the designing of the suit should be in such manner that creating all the get approaches, creating the data first so that all creation APIs are checked first, and then the get, delete, and later on so that we can perform actions on those created data. So basically the post request should be done and first, and then other operations should be performed on them
Mm-hmm.
so that the
Okay.
data can be basically reused. So the idea is to reuse that data in the suit.
that we can see the verification of data, and the data cannot can be reused, or I mean should not be reused, or should always be the unique data. But what about in terms of other things you will be testing? Let's just now forget about automation point of view. Think
Right.
for, okay, give you a postman or some specific client that sending the request and getting the response. So what all things that you will consider that, okay, these APIs are absolutely working fine.
So basically, we'll check the functionality also, what action we are trying to perform. The action has taken place in the application. That means the API is working fine. Suppose
Hmm.
we are sending some API and that has to perform some action on the GUI. So we can
Hmm.
also automate that through GUI, that in Selenium, we can write the rest of the code that we are getting that mail in inbox, or we are getting that action on the GUI. So uh, functionality basically, functional testing. And then we can run multiple threads on the same API to check that if we are creating one user, we can create 100 users, and how much time is it taking to
Okay,
create those users. So we can
so,
parameterize it basically.
so you will do some performance testing also for your APIs.
Yes.
Okay, what is like one of the most important things? I'm calling your API, let's say your system API, and getting some response. So between two systems, between two bodies, what is the important thing that we have to validate between two systems in terms of API, right? I'm consuming some server's APIs or some other product APIs, and then today you are getting 5 attributes, tomorrow you are getting 6 attributes. It means the schema got changed, for example. Don't you think the
Schema
schema?
validation. Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. Yeah, that was, I thought that was very obvious because that is the
Mhm.
priority, obviously. So I got this I got this in healthcare domain when I was working there. So in that, we already got a schema that this should happen in fire. I don't know, you know about fire, FHIR.
Mhm.
So we were, yeah, we had that specifications from fire server only, that the message should contain this many
Mhm.
strings and all the clinical safety points from them. So that was our priority. All the test cases were designed around that schema only.
So let's say the contract is breached between two systems. The schema suddenly got changed, and you are heavily dependent on some other distributed system. That is maybe some third-party system in your company, or maybe some other project in your company. For example, in e-commerce application, you are working on a portal and you're calling order management API, and then order management is schema got changed, and you got to know. So as a QA, what is your responsibility to make sure that, okay, that is a bug? First of all, that how will you communicate to different other stakeholders that the schema got broken and the schema is not correct? How will you take it as a QA?
So it's error from our side, inside the suit, you mean to say?
No, it's not from your side. It's error from the schema. As instead of
Somehow got
a
changed.
5, you're getting 6. Or maybe some, instead of a string, you are getting some integer or booleans, or some data type got changed. And then in your system, you were expecting a string, but now it's giving you integer. So your system is not working because of that. Your service got down because of that. So in that case, what will you do?
First of all, report that as a bug.
Mhm. Okay, so
I
what else?
mean,
What are different major actions that you will perform? Because don't you think a
it's a
schema?
bug from their end, right? It was expected to be a string, and we wrote the test case accordingly, but we are getting a integer. That means it's a bug, clear bug.
Yeah. Okay. So how will you communicate to other different stakeholders?
First of all, I'll report the bug and
Mm-hmm.
take action accordingly. Discuss with the developers. If I get to know if it's not a bug and it's a change from their side which hasn't been communicated to us via mail or via through any requirement sheets, if it hasn't been communicated to us, then I'll
Hmm.
have a discussion with them from our end. If it wasn't communicated from them, then our bug is
Hmm.
correct.
Hmm.
So it should be closed in consent with them. I won't remove my bug or something, But if it's a change, if it's a mistake from our side, or we skipped the mail and we didn't change our test case, and if it's from
Hmm.
our side, firstly I'll be removing my bug, and then I'll make a change in my design suite,
Hmm.
that string, instead of string, it can accept an integer now, and then update my requirement, sorry, regression suite, and change its version and check in the latest version to the GitHub, and
Hmm.
communicate this to the team as well, if
Hmm.
if it is a change from their side and it was missed by us. Rotate that,
Okay.
circulate that mail in our team. Yeah.
Okay. Good. Okay. So, for example, let's see. You understand the concept of monolithic and microservices,
Yeah, right.
right? So, can you tell me the difference between monolithic and some example of monolithic application and the microservices, and what the different advantages you will be getting with microservices as compared to monolithic?
Monolithic application means a complete service is one single application, and that has to be tested. And
Mm-hmm.
the demerit of it is that we won't be able to access
Hmm.
that errors around that, because there's one single application, and where's the problem we won't be able to find out. But in a microservices architecture, there are small services which we can test, and we can easily debug that which service is working fine and which has the error, which holds the error, or because of which the application is getting down.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, we can, if the server is down or the application is not working from the other end, then we can just uh, rerun all the services once. The developers can
Mm-hmm.
rerun all the services one, and it'll start working. I mean, we
Okay.
can get the fault easily. So
So, don't you
nowadays,
think
all
this?
the services are
Mhm.
microservices based, which is better than monolithic architecture.
But don't you think in microservices you will be having the more, you need some really good infrastructure, more infrastructure needed, and then every service is running in on a specific container, having its own database and all such things. So maintenance also will be lengthy in that case. Although your points are absolutely correct. So is it like the monolithic is totally deprecated, or nobody is using it? Can you give me certain
Right.
examples? Uh, which application, for which application like we can use monolithic?
For which application we can use monolithic? Wherever there is some client server interaction, I think microservices are more used, uh, uh, because already getting and sending information is
Hmm.
again different services,
Hmm.
and
Okay.
yeah, the
Okay,
information is
fine.
first sent to the server and then received, so it is microservices there. But for monolithic, I'm not sure of any example. I've not used
Monolithic
yet.
also, because in monolithic also we have a server where the entire application is deployed and hosted, and the client is hitting and then getting the response via different APIs. So, but anyways, okay, that's fine. So, tell me another thing is that what is API gateways? You must have heard about this term, like API gateways.
Yes.
So, what is a function of importance of API gateway?
Importance of API gateway. So API are being verified from the API gateway. Not sure.
Mhm. So, let's see in your you have all your backend services, then all the calls are getting through API gateways. So what are different things that you will configure inside the gateways, inside the API gateway? Is it a good practice to maintain the API gateways, or you can hit your server APIs directly? So what do you think about it?
No, it is a good practice using a API gateway, because it works as a firewall
Okay,
for
good.
APIs,
Mm-hmm.
and APIs get verified. They are encrypted or in any format, they are sent to the API gateway. So there's a
Mm-hmm.
layer of protection which is very important.
Okay, that's a good one. What else? Okay, like just give me 2 or 3 major advantages or features of API gateways. Can I use API gateways as a proxy, as a load balancer,
API gateway is a
as a caching server? Have you like used these things in your company? Because I can see you have like you have used like some really good backend systems in your previous companies also. Okay, anyways, no worries. This is just I really want to know about API that you have used or not. Okay, so how is your experience in UI automation? Are you comfortable with that, with UI
yeah.
automation? Which tool you are using currently for UI?
Yeah, we've used Selenium and with along with the BDD framework, also used extend reports, also used Maven as a build tool, used TestNG listeners to generate
Mm-hmm.
the reports, like generate in the sense what action should be performed on skipped, on failed, like take a screenshot on failed and like that. So we use TestNG also.
Okay, so can you quickly tell me the basic architecture of Selenium WebDriver in Selenium 4? Like how exactly Selenium is working internally, if you have idea about it?
Yeah, the base interface is search context interface, and from that
Not,
interface,
I'm not talking about the API structure. I'm talking about how exactly Selenium is working and interacting with the browser, and then how exactly your script is interacting with the Selenium.
okay.
Like, have you ever heard about like W3C protocols or JSON wire protocols like that?
Uh,
It's okay if you are not sure about it. That's perfectly fine.
no.
Okay. Okay. So in Selenium, can you tell me the 5 important uh, disadvantages? I mean, not important, obviously, disadvantages are never important, but I would like to know that what exactly Selenium cannot do.
Selenium cannot do, right?
Yeah.
So, in the application, at times there is like OTP is being generated on the phone, which cannot
Mm.
be automated, and
Okay.
then CAPTCHA.
Okay.
There are
What else?
images like select all the zebra crossings or traffic signals that Selenium
Hmm.
cannot do.
Okay.
Mm.
What else we cannot do with Selenium? Can we automate desktop application with Selenium?
No, we can only automate web applications with Selenium.
Okay. What else? So OTP captcha, no desktop automation. Give me 2 more that I cannot automate with. Okay, no worries. So tell me in Selenium that which API you will be using to handle alerts. And first of all, tell me what do you mean by alert and how will you handle it with Selenium?
So alerts are basically pop-ups or small windows which generate on the UI and block the view to UI. So
Okay.
alerts may be web generated or
Mm-hmm.
they may not be web generated also. So
Mm-hmm.
there are two types of alert.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, soft. Uh,
So let's say there is a JavaScript alert because of alert method or prompt method is there. So how will you handle that alert, right, which is coming because of JavaScript alert?
yeah. So we can use get alerts method.
Mm-hmm. So let's say there is a application, you click on one button and there is an alert is coming, which is actually freezing the entire application, entire page. And then how will you handle that alert? And on that alert, there is a message is written. that please enter your username, password, or something like this, and then there is a OK button. So how will you handle that?
Alert.ok or alert.accept and there are alert methods which we can use. We can first of all we can import.
Don't you think that first you have to switch to that particular alert?
Right, of course. First switch to alert, get the message verified also that this is the expected alert or not. If that message
Hmm.
is verified, it is the correct alert, then we can handle it with if we want to accept it or close it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay. So same thing with the browser windows also, right? Let's say I click on a link. There is a link that create user link. You click on it and there is one form is getting open in a new window. Or let's see on the same window, there's a pop-up is coming. And then you have to switch from parent window to the child window or the second window
right.
and fill that form and then again come back. So what is a quick, just no need to give me the exact syntax, but which API, which method that you will be using in Selenium to do that?
Okay. So first of all, we'll get the list of windows in a set. We'll get we
Hmm.
are using set because it uniquely stores all the window
Hmm.
IDs. It will be storing our window IDs. So we can get the first ID as the parent ID, and then accordingly we can save the child window ID also inside the set.
Hmm.
And then first of all, we'll switch to that child window. We'll close that and then go back to the parent window. And we will be saving that set to a list first so that we can
Hmm.
access all the windows from that list, get 0 or get 1. At the
Hmm.
0th index, we assume that the parent ID would be stored in a list. So
Why would you
list will be
assume?
maintaining the order basically, because list will be maintaining the order of the window IDs.
Okay, why can't we do that without list? Like you simply use a driver dot get window handles, store inside the set, and then iterate it, and switch to the parent child window, and then perform the action, and then come back. Can't we do that?
Yes, in this scenario, we can do that because we don't have many windows. But in case there are a
Hmm.
lot of pop-ups, and in case we have to maintain that, then we can use this longer approach.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Okay. So can you tell me the syntax of a shadow DOM element or SVG element? Like how will you create an XPath for SVG element and how will you create the query selector or CSS selector for shadow DOM element? Have you ever used these things earlier?
No,
Okay. Have you ever heard about it? Shadow element or shadow DOMs?
no.
Okay, fine, no worries. Great. So tell me one thing that in TestNG, what are the importance of listeners? Why do you need TestNG listeners?
Basically, when we want the s- some actions to be performed on
Mm-hmm.
like on skip test, we want some action to be performed. On fail test, we want some API to take a screenshot and save that along with the time. On
Hmm.
start test, we want something to happen. So all these listeners can basically, I would say in layman language, that they listen to us, that how we want our scenario to execute or the suit to execute and perform. So
Okay.
basically used for that only. On
So,
skip, it should, like in I've used extend reports. So in that, I wanted the skip test cases to be test steps to be marked in yellow,
hmm,
and the failed test skip steps should be marked in red. So we can
hmm,
give those things in skipped and failed. In failed, I wanted the test cases screenshot should be taken along with the date and the time and the name of the test case as well, so that I
okay.
open the test case and screenshot and I get it which test case, which step was failed. So yeah, listeners can help us to do all that.
Okay, so tell me one thing that in TestNG, I have actually 100 test cases that I have returned and have created a lot of dependency, you know, let's see, number of test cases are dependent on some one of the specific test case. Is it a good practice to create and maintain so much of dependencies between methods, between test methods? Or you will always create your test methods are independent?
It's not a very good practice because one method fails, then all the other followed test cases will be failing, which is not
Hmm.
a very good practice. It's better to make test cases independent. If we need some ID, create that ID every time in the new test case. If we need some action, do it every
Hmm.
time. That is a better scenario. If we need login every time,
Hmm.
because independence test case can get us the real results, how
Hmm. Hmm.
much exact time of each test case took, and the complete. In fact, if we want to distribute our test cases with tags for regression separately, for sanity separately, for functional separately, we can run
Hmm.
them without any issues if we have independent test cases. So it's a very bad practice to use depends on.
Okay, okay, that's good one. So tell me one thing that how many assertions generally you will write in your single test? What do you prefer? Let's see, I have to write 5 assertions in the single test, or you will create 5 different test cases for that. Can you give me some examples? Let's see, where you will be using multiple assertions in the same single test, or you will be creating one assertion once one test. Which one you prefer?
5 assertions in, sorry,
In
one test.
in yeah. So which one you prefer? 5 assertion in one test or 5 test cases with 5 individual assertions, single assertions?
Better to use 5 test cases with individual assertions,
Mm-hmm. Why?
because then we can exactly get like, if that depends on the scenarios as well. Like if I am just sending an API, getting a request, getting
Hmm.
something in output, and I have to check with assertion the error code and error message, then obviously
Hmm.
I won't write different test cases. I can check that at the same time, that this should be the message and this should be the code. But
Hmm.
if it's a huge scenario and
Hmm.
in between there are big assertions, then we should
Hmm.
better break down the test case so that we should know which part of the
Hmm.
scenario exactly failed, where it failed.
So
Like if
don't
we
you
are
think
getting
for
404 not found, that's a small scenario. So I won't be
hmm.
checking 404 once and then another complete test case and then checking the message not found separately. That would be dumb enough. But
Hmm.
I
Okay, so
hope
you
you
are
get.
saying in certain cases you can combine number of assertion in the one single test.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. And
Small
then
assertions,
for
like of
smaller.
the same scenario.
Okay. Have you ever heard about soft assertions?
Yes, soft and hard both. Yeah.
What is the difference between soft assertion and hard assertion?
So soft assertions, after soft assertions, if the assertion fails, our test cases would be continue to execute and mark that as a failed step
Hmm.
and continue the test case further. But for hard assertion, the test case would stop there and then, and the next test case would begin executing.
Next test case or next assertion will be executed.
Yeah, next assertion would be executed.
Okay. So does TestNG support soft assertion? Can we write the soft assertion in TestNG?
No.
Why? So right, it's a there is a soft assert class is available in testing. We can use it for the soft assertion. Otherwise, how will you write a soft
Right.
assertion? Right?
Right.
Hmm. Okay, no worries. Are you nervous? Okay, no worries. So tell me one thing, one last question in TestNG. Do you prefer to maintain the priorities also for the test case? I have one single test class and 20 test cases or 10, let's see, I have written. Do you prefer the priority based test cases like priority one, two, three, or for that?
So we can keep the priorities. We can keep the priority with the priority tag, but
Hmm.
again, if we are using, I believe basically, like in my
Hmm.
test cases, I have distributed the tags as regression, sanity, functional, so everything is already distributed. So I believe the
Hmm.
sanity test cases are the priority ones already. Whenever
Hmm.
we receive the build, first of all, that should be executed without any hesitation. The first set of test cases to be executed. So after that, prioritizing is not that important. After that, because that
Hmm.
will create confusion. Already tags are there, and then writing the priority also would create confusion. There's no requirement of the same. But if your
Hmm.
tags are not decided for the test cases, then priority is a better option. At least one thing should be used to better manage them.
Okay. Okay. So can we provide negative priorities? The priority can be negative.
No.
Why priority is a integer flag is there? I mean, integer key is there. So we can have the negative priority, right? Can we have the priority as zero?
Mm-hmm. We can have a zero.
Okay. Okay. Can we have the common priorities? Let's see, all the test cases are having the same priority, one, 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 like that. Can we have it?
Yeah, we can have many test cases with priority one also.
So if the priority is equal to one for all the 10 test cases, then what is the significance of priority in that case, right?
Right.
So okay, then if the all the test cases are having the same priority, then which order test ng will consider?
It can alphabetically execute the test cases
Mhm.
of
Okay.
priority one first, and then
So tell me one thing that in Selenium, right? So whenever we're talking about driver dot find elements, whenever we have to find multiple elements from the page, so
Mhm.
which method you will be using, like driver dot find elements? So what is the return type of this method, and why? Can you tell me, like driver dot find element will return what?
It will return a list. Driver.find element returns a single element, but driver.find elements will return a list of elements.
So why it is a list? It could be an other data type also, right? It could be other collection also, or it could be a static array also. Why it is a list only?
A list is an ordered collection, and it is
Mm-hmm.
easy to access the list in the same
Mm-hmm.
order.
Hmm. You can use a static array also. A static is also, it maintains the order 0, 1, 2, 3, and then you can easily traverse it and access it. So why it is a list only? So what is the difference between a static array and the dynamic array? Do you know that?
Yes, a static array, we give a static size of the array, like an array of 10 elements, which cannot grow further. A dynamic
Hmm.
array is one which can grow with the necessity as per the requirements.
Okay.
We don't need to define the size of that array.
Okay. So tell me one thing that in collection, right? What is the default capacity of array list in Java? In Java
For
for array list for list, what is the default capacity?
no,
Okay, no idea. Okay, no worries. So how exactly hash map works internally? Do you know that?
yeah.
Like, just give me the basic idea how exactly it works, hash map.
So basically, the word hash means hashing. That means generating a random value. That means at a random address, our data is going to be stored. But
Hmm.
during hashing, it so happens that in a list,
Hmm.
when our element goes and stores at a place, we
Hmm.
need to uh, we need to add more elements, like join a linked list there, and internally we can allocate the memory, a list kind of a memory, a data type of a memory within a
Hmm.
hash map. So in
Okay.
that case, in that case, we can make a linked list along with the, like, there are two nodes in the linked list. In a doubly linked list, it has the previous node and the next node also. And in a
Hmm.
singly linked list, we have the next node, which stores the element of the next address, which stores the address of the next element.
So
So
what is the hashing? What do you mean by hash? What do you mean by hash code? The concept of hash code.
basically, hashing means generating a new random number every time. There are many types of hashing, like many methods through which a random address can be generated every time, like foldable, and there are many kinds in which we can generate that random address.
Okay.
That's why it is faster, because those means we can use to store the element. We don't need to look for that address, how much address is filled yet and how much address is empty, which address should we, on which address should the element be stored next. So through hashing, it is faster.
Okay. So can you explain me why, where exactly, whenever you're creating any string object, right, with the string literals, where exactly inside the memory it will be stored?
Strings are stored in the heap memory. Strings are immutable, but string buffer and string builder classes are mutable.
Hmm. So when you create the object like a string s equal to, let's say, Shikha, where exactly it will be stored? Inside the heap, there is a special place for the strings, right? Do you know that?
String pool, not sure.
Mm-hmm.
Inside the heap, it is
Yeah,
stored
it's
in
a
the
string
string
called,
pool.
yeah. So let's see if I'm creating a string s1 is equal to Shikha and a string s2 is equal to Shikha. So how many objects of strings will be created? It will create one or two.
Sh- S is equal to Shikha and
S1 is equal to Shikha and S2 also equal to Shikha
okay,
with all
two
special
objects.
address. It will create two object or one object.
Two objects will be pointing to same address
Okay, so
where Shikha
likewise,
is
if you have,
stored.
so let's see, likewise, I'm storing S1 to S100 variables I'm creating and 100 times writing S1 equal to Shikha and S2 equal to Shikha and S100 equal to Shikha. So 100 objects will be created. So like only for just to store Shikha, don't you think that it should create one object and all 100 references should point to the same object?
References, right?
Hmm. Okay, so
Right.
why strings are immutable? Like, can you prove that the strings are immutable?
Yeah, strings are immutable because once given the space in the heap memory, they cannot be changed.
Mm-hmm. What do you mean immutable?
Immutable means if we need to generate some, if we need to perform some actions on that string, like concatenate or append something on it or do any actions, we will
Hmm.
have to save that into a new string because that string is constant and that cannot be changed.
Hmm. Okay, good. Okay. So let's see if I'm writing a string s is equal to Shikha and then I'm writing s dot reverse. Can I do that?
No.
Why?
We will have to store that s dot reverse in a new string.
So you are saying a string s1 is equal to s dot reverse. Can I do that?
Yes.
Are you sure? Okay, fine, no worries. So tell me in your current project, so are you like completely into automation or you guys are doing some manual way of testing also, writing the test cases and executing it manually, or your what is your major contribution? Like you are like 100% occupied with the automation thing or manual also?
Manual also. Both of us are doing, we are two people in the same team, and both of
Hmm.
us are doing manual test cases also. First, we get the user story. As soon as we get the user story, we get a demo from the developer that
Hmm.
this has to be done here. This has to be performed, and then out of it, we first plan the manual test cases, write them to Excel, copy them to the test plans in Azure DevOps, and
Hmm.
from there on, we mark the test case as fail or passed in Azure DevOps only, and from there only we execute them and create a bug in Azure only.
Hmm.
This whole process takes place in Azure only, and after writing those test cases, in the next sprint, we automate the previous test cases of the previous sprint.
Why don't you automate in the same sprint? Why you follow the +1 cycle?
We generally follow this because of the reason that the bugs we have logged will be fixed, and there might be some changes in the application due to the same. And so when the code is freezed for the previous sprint, we use it in the next sprint to automate.
Okay, so are you guys creating the user stories also for automation, or you are just picking randomly or creating the automation task by your own? Is it the part of the sprint planning also for automation?
Yes, this is the part of the sprint planning.
Hmm.
This is the same process we follow. There are retrospective meetings also for the same.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. So let's say I'm giving you one simple scenario that you have to go to the e-commerce application as you're working on the e-commerce application, and then you have to select a product, and then after selecting the product, you have to add it to the cart, right? So add to
Right.
cart functionality, you have to check, right? And then there are possibilities that I just add it, and then maybe I can just re-log in after 5 days or 15 days or 2 weeks. But by the time that product maybe is not available in my, okay, in
Cart.
my inventory or something like this, no, it's there in the cart, but maybe in my inventory is not there. So how will you check? Give me some really good use cases or scenarios to test, not through automation, but what are different use cases you will perform here?
Might be or might not be available.
Both the cases, it maybe it is available, then fine, you can make the payment. So it's now you have to think about it. Various use cases here.
Okay. Okay. So let me think. First of all, we can click on the cart. If the object is not there in the cart, it will be showed as out of stock. This is the first scenario. So it will be showed out of stock. If it is out of stock, then it is not present in the inventory. We are sure that it is not present in the inventory. And if it's not showing, then after clicking the buy now button or make payment button, we can get sure about that the item is moving for payment. That means if it's heading for payment, then it's getting checked that it is present in the inventory or not. Because before making payment, we check that all the items which are in the list are present in the inventory or not once.
Do you check as a developer? What I'm talking about that you have to test it as a user point of view. What if the inventory, the item is not available? So don't you think that okay, that if it is still showing an item is not available and still you are able to proceed further and you buy the product? Don't you think as a user point of view it should not happen? Then it should immediately stop to buy the product. Think in that way also.
Yeah, it should immediately stop. It should not show the make payment option if it is the only product in the cart. The scenario is if it is the only product in the cart and it is out of inventory, it should
Hmm.
not show make payment or buy now option. First of all, that should be disabled. Then
Hmm.
the item in the inventory should be blurred. It should not be enabled. The item also gets blurred and white. It should
Hmm.
show item out of stock notification. If it's
Hmm.
not showing that notification, then also the user is in doubt.
Okay, so as a testing point of view, I'm more looking for some really good scenarios that how will you make sure, because it could be a blunder. Your inventory is empty and then still you are showing that and the user is able to make the payment and the user is waiting for the product. The order ID is generated. So Give me some good really good use cases, positive and especially negative test cases or out of box test cases, that how will you test this particular use case?
The positive test cases would be if the item is present, then it will be showed in normal colors, not blurred. That means not white, not blurred. It is shown normally, and make payment option is also enabled. Apply coupon options are also enabled. Which all options are there just to move ahead, and
Hmm.
the delete button should also be available, because if the item is there and you want to tick and delete that item from the cart, then
Hmm.
item is present, delete button should be enabled. But if the item is not present in the inventory, then the delete caption button should not be shown at all, because it is not there.
But don't you think that, okay, why user wants to delete that? Fine, we can provide the delete, but that is something very important product for a customer point of view. Maybe it will be available in the inventory later, but still I want to maintain in my cart. That is the main purpose of the cart, right?
No, but the
Then,
user can move it to the wish list, right? So he can maintain it there, that I'll check if it is there and then I'll move it to the cart to order again. So he can add it to his wish list.
okay.
So that
So let's see,
make
wish list is
may
not,
move.
there's no concept of wish list. Then,
Okay. Then he can
so,
let it be there in the cart, and he cannot. The user should not be able to delete it. Then it should be present in the cart.
mhm. Okay. So, okay, fine. So tell me one thing, that when you are running your test cases, right? So let's say I give you a scenario. You have 500 test cases, or let's say 500 is too much. Let's say you have 200 regression test cases that you have, and then you have a very quick release that you are saying that you have only two people are working as a QA, and then you have to do a lot of regression because it's a big release, and then you have really resource crunch and then time crunch. What will be your, the smart way of doing the testing over here? That will you execute all 200 test cases, or how will you categorize your testing and perform the testing here?
I'll prioritize on the basis of, first of all, the sanity and smoke must be done, first of all. And then I'll check the previous cycle bugs. They are fixed or
Hmm.
not in the next build.
Hmm.
They are the priority test cases I will use. Like
Hmm.
the previous cycle bugs are fixed or not, and then functional test cases would be performed first rather than performance.
So yeah, so these are 300 functional test cases only.
So sorry.
Shita, can you please take care of your background, because one
This
second,
conference will now be recorded.
I'll be asking the same question again. That okay, so for example, I give you one scenario. You have 300 test cases are there, and you really have resource crunch. The regression test cases are there, and then you have 2 days of time to release the product, and XYZ reason that you could not get the build on time, and you have only two resources, and then a lot of regression that you have to perform. So what will be your strategy? How will you prioritize or categorize your test cases in this scenario? Make sure you're using other resources as well.
Okay.
Mhm.
So we'll be dividing the scenarios. If I am performing smoke and sanity, then he'll be performing functional, like that. We'll divide the
Hmm.
work first and then finish the
Hmm.
work, and then keep a check on each other whenever the help is required, right?
Hmm.
And check the results. If the pass percentage is good enough, 85% above, we can drop a mail to the development team. Instead of going through the complete regression suite, we can just perform the functional and smoke sanity first.
Because the but smoke and sanity, they're part of the functional test cases only. right? So you just justify, okay, fine, that you are executing your smoke SRE test cases, and then the build is working fine. It's a big release, and there are a lot of changes happened from last couple of sprints. So how will you categorize for your 300 test cases? Like 85% fine, but how will you execute those 85% test cases in 2 days only?
85% test cases in 2 days only. Uh, Instead of running many regression cycles, we can run just one or two, and we can check the average of that. We can check
Mm-hmm.
where the failures are actually happening.
Mm-hmm.
We can check the area. If there are a lot of failures in a single module, like in mobile testing I have done earlier, there was a single Wi-Fi module which was completely failing. So instead of focusing on single issues in all the other modules, if that one module is failing, we can focus on that one module only, that the reason for its failure, the service is down or whatever is not working for it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, instead of focusing on small items, a one big
Mm-hmm.
failure which is happening, we can find the cause and we can just get it fixed and move it on.
Okay. So do you really prefer to write, let's see, while executing these 300 test cases, do you really prefer to execute all 300 test cases and updating the status pass fail, could not execute it in Zira, or you just do exploratory testing or just randomly picking the application according to your experience, because you know the application in and out, and then you execute your then you just do the exploratory testing, and once the testing is done, then you go to Zira and then check the test cases pass fail or pass fail, like that. Will you prefer this?
Yeah, actually, it depends on time also. Sometimes we have to make these decisions that we have to make it very fast and quickly. And we know that the first part is all about login, the second part is all about cart, the third part is all about this. So we can just go through quickly and execute them. But
Hmm.
there are sometimes like the major bugs or the UAT bugs which were logged and which have been added at the end of the suit,
Hmm.
the customer issues or this kind of issues, which are
Hmm.
like which are a priority to be checked before releasing. They are the priority because they might have been missed during regression or during some other, customer
So you
issues or UAT. They
so
will be
fine.
the priority.
So you UAT, you will give the priority, and your actual production bugs that actually you got earlier, that is giving the priority. But what about the actual feature that you have written those 300 test cases, and what is the point of writing those 300 test cases?
Like there are features in the feature itself, there are modules which
Hmm.
haven't got a single bug and which are running smoothly since the very beginning. We can ignore that part, that 90% sure that might be running well because उसमें कभी bug आया ही नहीं है, we can say. So that's
Hmm.
that's the part we can ignore. That's we do this. This happens
Mm-hmm.
with us in short of time. So we have to skip that part and then we can move directly to the uh, priority bugs which were logged and those areas which were actually bug oriented areas
Hmm. Okay.
or the newly
Well,
added script in the previous cycle. We can focus on them more.
okay. And what about automation? Don't you think that, okay, the automation will help you here? We have 300 test cases, and then don't you think that, okay, the automation will help me, like at least 30-40% things that you have already automated, and then your automation is running, and then you just need to concentrate on the 60% part. What about that
So
strategy?
I mean, I'm talking about automation only. We are not executing 300 cases manually for sure. We
So
are,
you,
I mean, I have been a part of automation team only. So we
hmm,
just perform manually once and then we automate the thing.
okay. So you say that your
I'm
automation
talking.
is perfectly written, that you don't need to do any manual testing over there. You're just running it.
Yeah, at the end, see, there's no point of automating with so much labor if we are executing 300 cases manually. So why
Hmm.
wasting so much time? Definitely, regression cycles should be run. Manual test cases should not be performed at the end. When
So you are
with
saying
every user story we are automating.
that you have achieved 100% automation and not doing
No,
manual testing.
that is not possible. That is not possible. There might be some part, there might be 10% of the application that might
Hmm.
not be automated. Rest, I mean, on the experience basis, 80% things are automated for sure. Can be
With
automated.
UI, with UI or backend?
Both UI can also be automated, backend can also be automated.
Hmm.
Logins,
So,
in fact, at the same time, concurrent logins, users, everything. Performance can also be checked for all of them.
okay, so you are saying that out of 300 test cases, let's say assume that 250 test cases, around 80% test cases got automated, and then you are just concentrating on the 50 test cases manually. So
Right.
this 80 automation execution is taking how much time, for example?
It might take 2 hours for the suit to run,
Hmm.
2 to 3 hours for the suit to run.
Okay, it's just a guess or it's an actual number in your company? I'm assuming you have 300 test cases, for example. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
around if it is a good
Hmm.
optimized application, I mean the suit I'm talking about, it might take 3 hours to run the suit. And if it's running on
So,
cloud, the system is not getting on shutting down and it's running on VM, then there are no
hmm.
disturbances and it runs quite fast. But
And
three
what
hours is
about
good enough.
okay, and what about the bugs? Are you getting some real issues through automation? So, what is your first priority whenever you see a failure in your automation? Is it a coding issue or it's an actual bug in the application?
Yeah, first of all, we check our script that there
Hmm.
is any issue. Obviously, we'll check our end first that everything was working fine. And then
Hmm.
if the in the earlier release it was working fine and now it has failed,
Hmm.
then there might be issue on their side,
Hmm.
right? So we
Okay.
report the bug as well. Depending upon the situation, we report the bug.
So first you will check your script and then you will check the actual bugs.
Right.
Don't you think you should check the application bug? You should trust on your script that my automation is properly maintained and properly returned, and if there is a failure, that uh, you should feel happy that okay, fine, the through automation we found the issues. That first you are checking your script, debugging the code, and checking the failure test case manually and checking everything, and then you are checking that okay, no application bugs. Don't you think
Right.
it should be for application bugs?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Because our script was already, unit testing has already been done for the script, obviously. Before
Hmm.
checking in the code, we have done the unit testing earlier also.
Hmm. So, for example, let's see the unit test case is written by the developer. So, what is the coverage for them? Like, what is the unit test case coverage from the dev side in your current team?
Unit test coverage.
Like,
I mean,
every developer is writing the unit level test cases.
hmm.
Okay, so for example, let's say I'm a developer and I'm not writing the unit level test cases and merge my code and I'm giving the build to you. Will you accept that build?
No. I mean,
Why?
without unit testing, it is not
Mm-hmm.
possible that the application would be perfectly working fine without any errors at all. I mean,
No,
first
but
time when we do anything, when in fact when we write for code for our test cases also, we write a JavaScript or a Groovy script in JMeter or whatever, we will
hmm,
have to test it once, twice, thrice that it is working fine. Is it
hmm,
doing the accepted work? Is it get achieving the acceptance criteria?
hmm.
We'll give the
So let's say
negative scenario, negative data also.
so let's say on a stable application, I'm a developer. I'm just simple uh, writing 1 or 2 unit level test cases, very positive, very high level scenario, which is working fine. And my code is saying, okay, fine, it's working fine. And without writing some really good unit test cases, I'm giving the build to you. Will you accept that build or will you reject that build?
I will not accept that build without unit testing. Without unit testing, I mean, it is possible that I even open an application and it might crash, even start anything and it might crash, because unit testing is the priority. Unit testing is
Let's
the
say it's not
priority.
crashing. Let's say it's not crashing and it's absolutely working fine. That feature is also working fine. In that case, will you accept the build? Your developer, I can say, okay, fine, that it's working fine, then why are you not taking the build? There is no crash, you're able to log in properly, everything is working fine with my code, but I have not written any unit test cases. In that case also, will you accept the build or will you reject them?
Now that depends
Mm-hmm.
if the stakeholders are in a hurry and they want the things to be done very quickly. This might happen
Mm.
with us also. We might have to accept the build.
So you are ready to compromise the build quality without unit test cases. So fine, then in that case, every time I won't write the unit test cases and then I'll just give the build and the entire build is on a toss all the time. So will you prefer this process that developers are not writing the good coverage for the unit test cases and
I
Mhm.
don't appreciate, but this might happen at times, not always, I mean to say. Like,
Hmm.
obviously, unit test cases are expected, and along with the build, it is expected to uh, assure that unit testing has been done. But
Hmm.
after that, I am talking about if the stakeholders are in really hurry and they want things to speed up and they want
Hmm.
quickly that some things that this might happen at times.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay,
Like,
fine. Okay, great. So what do you think about your automation that you have written and the test cases that you have written? Is it like part of the CI/CD pipeline or some integration that you guys have done? It is the part of the main pipeline.
yes, we
So
do check
can
in
you?
the code,
Mhm.
elaborate
So
on
are
the
you
same.
maintaining the same repository? Are you maintaining the separate repository, or you are just checking the code to the main development repository only?
No, separate repository. Every time the version of the script is updated, something
Hmm.
v0.1, and then again we get some
Hmm.
add-on test cases or some new user story, we add the new test cases, and then at 0.2, like that, we check in along with the release note also that these
Okay.
features have been added to this, yeah, regression cycle.
So which pipeline you are using, like which CI/CD tool that you are using for that?
GitHub we are using for checking in the code, the complete code,
Hmm.
and for version control of JMX script of JMeter, like that we also keep at our SharePoint also.
No, what I'm talking about through the CI/CD pipeline, it will deploy, it will execute your test cases, unit level test cases, and all such things, and it will generate the report, deploy it to the Rex environment, then again run your test cases, static analysis, and everything. There is a pipeline, right? The
Right,
Git is for your source code management, that is for the
right.
code repository. But to create the entire pipeline, that which CI/CD tool you are using for that?
For creating the entire pipeline.
Hmm. Are you using GitHub Actions or any Jenkins or something like that?
No, nothing like that. I mean, directly the code is in Eclipse, and our Eclipse is connected to Azure DevOps repository.
Hmm.
So we can directly check in the code to Azure
Okay.
repositories. There is a master branch there, and there are development branches also.
So that I'm saying that you are running on through Git or Azure.
Azure, yeah.
Where is Git actually? What is the purpose of Git in your project? Or your Git is integrated with Azure?
Yeah, right. Git,
Mm-hmm.
actually, it is not that GitHub in which generally,
Hmm.
which is public also. not the
Hmm.
GitHub, but it is a part of our project only, like project in Azure, access
Hmm.
to that, and access to its repository.
Hmm. Okay.
So yeah, so that everyone can clone from that repository only.
Okay. Fine. So are you comfortable with the basics of Git commands?
Mm, not all, because every time we don't do through CLI, we use directly also.
Okay.
Commit
So,
through directly also. Commit the code from there itself.
okay. So can you tell me the very three, four commands to push the code to the repository? Let's say you are writing in your working copy in your Eclipse or IntelliJ, whatever, and then you have to push the code to the repository. So what are different things first you have to do?
Build,
What
commit,
are
push.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah,
So mhm. So let's say
check
you
the
are a
changes.
yeah, go ahead, please go ahead.
Check the changes which we have done. Like I have made changes to a.java file or something, and we
Mhm.
can just go to the commit option and check that that file separately comes for committing. That
Mhm.
this file is going to be committed to the code, and then
Mhm.
push command directly.
Okay. But let's see, there are some changes are already done, at the remote side in the repository by some other developer, and then you are trying to push the code, right? So can you do that?
Actually, we have a separate repository, so it doesn't clashes with the developer.
No, I'm talking about, let's say two people are working in the QA team, right? And then let's say you and me are working together. I have already pushed the code to the repository, and then you
Right.
have to take the code from the repository. So which command you will be using?
Clone command.
No, but clone is the first time activity, right? After that, let's
Right,
see the
right.
first clone, but after that we are working together, and then a lot of commits from your side
Okay.
and from my back to back do pushing the code. And then I want to take the latest code done by you, and then you have to take the latest code done by me. So you have to take the latest copy from the remote side, from the GitHub side in your Eclipse, in your local. So which process you will follow? Like what about git pull, git fetch?
Yeah. Pull. Yeah.
Okay, fine, no worries. Okay, so one last question from my side. I'm giving you a scenario.
Hmm.
For example, let's see in your team there are you join a new team. Let's say you're joining my company, and then you are the senior member, 8 or 9 years of experience, and there are
Right.
some other junior developers and junior QA engineers. Let's say 2 years or 3 years or 1 year experience, but they are really good in in terms of application, and they know the things. And then 3 years experience guy know the framework in and out. So how
Mm-hmm.
will you join when you join them? So what is your thing? First thing that if will you prefer to learn from these people, from your juniors, or which is they are very like less experienced? So, or you will say that okay, no, that how would I learn from these people? That because they are very junior, and then you will try to learn from your
Um,
seniors or from some other people. In that case, what is your thought on it?
Definitely, I'll learn from my juniors because here they are my seniors. They know better than me. They know the application in and out. I'll gather knowledge from them, whatever they have. After absorbing all that, I'll get my
Hmm.
hands on the framework, and then I'll take out some things which they might not know, and I know on the basis of experience I'm gathering that this is happening, this they didn't tell. I'll also share my knowledge later on that so that they and I are on the same pace when we work together, because
Hmm.
that is the purpose. Definitely,
But let's see.
first of all, I'll go to them only. I'll fetch knowledge from them.
Okay, but let's see you are trying to contact some other team members, and they are not available, or they are not giving enough time to you, or maybe uh, they are just simply rejecting your request that okay, I don't have time. In that case, what will you do?
Then I'll discuss with my manager that I am not
Hmm.
getting, because if in the beginning I am not able to grasp the complete thing, then I won't be able to work. at all. So I'll have to report to my manager that I need some time from this guy, or arrange somebody for KTs. I'll even record the sessions if required so that I can watch them again and again to grasp things.
Hmm. Okay, but manager is also saying that, okay, no, you discuss with your team, you are experienced person, and then handle it. Then in that case, what will you do? So you will go to the manager directly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll have to, because without that, I
Mm-hmm.
can't start working. I need to have a KT session at least, what is going around, what I have to do. So
Okay.
yeah, that is priority. That is to begin
Hmm.
something, we should have a base first.
Okay. Do you believe in reverse KT concept?
Yes,
I have given you the KT, and then after
right,
for the
right.
guidance, and then I would say, okay, fine. Now you have to tell me whatever you have learned so far, and then I might ask some questions and just to check that, okay, your knowledge, because for I have spent my time 5 days, okay, on your KT, on
Mm-hmm.
your everything. So do you believe in the reverse KT?
Yes, yes, definitely. Because nobody
Hmm.
can gain 100% knowledge. If you have told me your 100%, I might have gained 80% out of it. So when I give you KT back, I might tell it's 60%. And then you will, you can get back that,
Hmm.
okay, you're missing these things, and I told you this also, this also. So definitely
Hmm.
40% data loss can be saved out of reverse KT.
Okay.
Yeah, it is a new practice which has started, I think.
No, it's not a new practice. It's there since long, but yeah. Okay. Okay, fine. So good, Shikha. That is all from my side. Just relax now. So what do you think? How was this? Like,
Bad.
what do you think? It was good, bad, best, or where are you lacking? Any improvement areas? What do you think? How's your preparation, first of all?
Not very well.
Hmm. Why? Just give me the pointers. Like what went wrong, what went well. Let's do some retrospective. Yeah.
Yeah, I know Selenium better than what I've told. I was not able to recall the types of assertions and the types of alerts which I have used in my projects earlier, but I had to brush up before,
Hmm.
if the hands-on is not there since 2, 3 months, I'm working on something else. I should have brushed that properly. And
Hmm.
then mm, some of the some of the questions which were from
Okay.
some of the questions which were very basic, which I could just not recall just because of lack of
Hmm.
practice.
Okay. Fine. Good. So let me share my feedback now, what I have observed. And honest opinion from my side, your interview went okay. Not that great, not that bad, but there are some areas that you really have to pick up. Really have to improve. First of all, your communication is good. You listen carefully the question and then you think and then you give the answer. That is a very good quality that you have, which is really good. That will help you a lot in real time interviews and everything. You are not rushing up. You are not like, okay, fine. You're not. You just listen what exactly the question is all about, and then you think and then you give the answer. That is fine. You take a pause and then that's fine. Good communication, good attitude, no doubt about it. But sometimes what I see a missing part here is that with your 8 to 9 years of experience, just try to be
Mhm.
more specific in terms of examples, in terms of giving negative scenarios, in terms of giving some really out of box use cases. You have to justify your 8 years of 9 years of experience in the industry. That is somewhere I see in some of the use cases, especially in, I'll tell you that, okay, in which scenario, oh, okay, you could have improved, right? And then when you give the the first time introduction, just try to be more elaborative in terms of tools, technologies that you are using, and then I asked you the first question, that what is your roles responsibility in your current project in terms of automation. So just try to be more specific about it, that what exactly your role, right? How did you design the framework? What kind of framework that you have? No need to explain completely unless someone is asking about the architecture of the framework, but at least say that, okay, I'm involved in this and that. And then you don't need to say about that, okay, I'm using Eclipse. Obviously you have to use, right? So you started that, okay, I'm using Eclipse, and you don't need to say that, okay, I just joined, that's why I'm not able to, explain and all such things. You joined and you have already started working upon it. So just try to ignore such things like I just joined and then like that. Okay. And then you took some really good automation examples, what exactly you did in terms of sanities, regression automation, and then you are really good in your API things, right? So and that's good to know that, okay, these days lot of interviews I'm taking, and most of the people are learning APIs, and they are not that great in Selenium, but they are, learning APIs and then doing good stuff, and interview also going good with respect to API. So your concept with respect to APIs are good. You started like conversion of the pose and all those things, but later on you are not sure about what is serialization, deserialization when you get the response, right? And then you're saying, okay, we were using the Excel sheet and then creating a request over there. So you could have explained that, okay, we were creating the request with the help of Pozo, sending it and getting the response, and then matching with the Pozo and all such things. So those, the keywords are important, the crux of your framework or of your automation, how exactly you will parse it. And then you just forget about that, which object mapper, Jackson API or something. It should be on your fingertips because it's your daily routine.
Yeah,
Right? That which serialization for point of view, marshalling and marshalling point of view, which API that you are using, like that. And don't say rest assured with okay, we are using API or rest assured in Selenium. That's the wrong things. With Selenium, it's only for UI automation. I think somewhere I heard about from you that you are using it, so please don't mention that. Maybe by mistake you have told something like this. Okay. Then I told you that top important test cases for APIs. Right, so you are saying, okay, find the verification of data, error, and API UI mapping and all such things. These are good ones. Performance test also, throttling also, you will check it, but a schema you did not tell. That's like important test case, important use case whenever you are integrating with some other system and the schema is broken, the contract is broken between two parties, and obviously that will be a big thing, right? And then I gave you one situation based scenario that if a schema is broken, what will you do in that case as a quality point of view? Right? So you can you sometimes you are, by giving the answer you're slightly blunt about it, that okay, you so no, that we'll just simply raise a bug, but it's your responsibility to raise this thing as a quality point of view, as an experienced quality guy point of view, that okay, fine, that contract is broken. You will talk to different stakeholders, you will talk to your product manager, you will talk to the other product other team as well, that okay, hey, the contract is broken. You will CC them also in the bug in Jira as a watch list, and then raise a proper bug, urgent bug or something because of that schema missing, and then our APIs or our functionalities are broken because of that. So you can have enhance this particular answer by saying such things, and you will raise one critical bug or blocker bug like that, and immediately add it to that test case and contact to your Scrum Master to make a meeting, made a meeting with that. Why should always a developer or the PO should contact to the other teams? You can, as a QA manager or as a QA guy also, you can also talk to them directly that okay, this is a contract broken. You should not raise such things, small things directly to your manager, and then you are just put the bug in my responsibility is over. Just try to show more responsibility kind of work over here, that okay, as a QA it's my responsibility, quality is my responsibility, although quality is a team responsibility, but still from my side I'll put my efforts like that. Then try to improve, like if you are doing a lot of backend monolithic and microservices, the fine, you gave me a couple of differences about that, but try to be more specific about it. Try to be more specific about the API gateways and everything, right? You
example
gave
of
me examples, monolithic and the microservices, in which case that you will be using microservices. You should not say that monolithic is almost gone from the market. I think you use that everybody is migrated to microservices. It's not true. In some application, people are still using, Wikipedia is still using monolithic. There are many examples. So, right, but when you explain this, microservices are good, but the maintenance is too much because there are so many containers that you have to infrastructure you have to maintain for every service, that you have to maintain separate DB and everything, and then collaboration is also required. because you are writing a service in Python, I'm writing a service in some other language, and we are communicating. So multiple resources, multiple platforms, infrastructure, databases, and everything that we have to maintain. So although it's having its own advantage, today your search is not working, your search microservice is down, but just because of that search, it's not like application is down. But that same problem you will face in monolithic also like that. You're putting all your eggs in the one basket, so obviously that entire thing will be burst out in that case. So just try to give some real-time examples. Same thing with API gateways. Try to learn these things, because with 8 years, 9 years, this is a flow people will pick at a time of interview with APIs and everything, and then talk about your microservices at design level and then API. So that's why that I did not ask much, because I saw that, okay, maybe you are not that comfortable with API gateways and all. Okay, so just try to improve that area as well. It's important. Then come to the
Right.
UI automation. Then I asked what are the different tools and technology that you were using. So yes, you said, okay, Selenium, Maven, TestNG, and all such things that you are using. And then what we cannot do through automation. I was expecting some more points. You just simply say, okay, OTP captcha, and that's it, right? You
Yeah.
should have added some more important things like security testing, performance testing. We should avoid. We cannot do desktop automation with Selenium.
Right.
You just said, okay, OTP and captcha, but there are other things also. We cannot do automation with respect to
Right.
Selenium. EPE testing also we cannot do that. Mobile testing, actual with Selenium libraries, we cannot do that. There are other hardware testing, we cannot do that. There are various things that we cannot do through automation. I mean, with respect to Selenium. So just,
Right. Right. Right.
these basic things that you also observe, right? That these are basic
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
that, so when you give the interviews like really great, and suddenly someone is asking this question, basic stuff, with your experience, sometimes it doesn't look good. That okay, yeah, okay. So just make sure that aware of it. Then try to learn about SVG shadow DOM elements. Although you are not using in your application, but these days, for interview point of view, these things are
Right.
important. These are out of box questions people might ask you at the time of interview, that how will you handle SVG, how will you handle shadow DOM elements and all such things. So please try to
Right.
do that. So overall, in your Selenium, you are average. Okay, you
Right.
know what to think. Just I asked you, that, okay, which type of alert? How will you handle? It's very simple. So driver, you forgot to tell driver.switch to .alert, right? Without switching, how can you
Mm.
capture the text and click on OK
Right.
button or something like this? So just try to explain those things, window pop-ups and all such things. So just we see, my advice is that with 8 to 9 years of experience, you should know about each and every feature of at least all the core features of Selenium. If you're mentioning
Right.
that, that's your primary automation skill for a UI
Right.
automation point of view. So all the core features of Selenium, people will ask the question back to back on Selenium. 7, 8 question people might ask you back to back, like window handler,
Right.
JS pop-up, find element, find elements, XPath, CSS, SVG, shadow DOM, right, window pop-ups, browser window pop-up, alerts, model dialogues, and all such things. So these are the standard questions back to back people will ask. So it should be on your
Right.
fingertips, all the core features of Selenium. Okay. TestNG, you were good. That I really liked your, the test writing skills, like a good explanation about TestNG. Listeners, you said that, okay, yeah, that's a tricky question from my side, that will you use the dependency and all such things. You said, no, I would avoid that. I won't use that according to AAA formula, that your test should be dependent, should not be, test should not be dependent to each other. It should be
Right.
independent to, and then you take one example of CRUD, that if you really want to create, every time you will prefer to create an ID or something, and then in that case you will try to perform the things. And then a tagging also, that's a major limitation when you write so many dependency. The number of tags you are using it, it's slightly I mean, like a lot of confusion will happen in that case, and it's not easy to maintain. So your
Right.
testing part is good, but again slightly dip happened when you were not aware of soft assertion in
Right.
TestNG. That assertion, obviously, that's the main feature provided by a TestNG,
Right.
hard assertion and soft assertion. But you said the difference between these two things are absolutely fine. But
Right.
then I ask very basic, these days people are asking the question on priorities, negative priority. So priority is an integer key over here. So that is what you have to, you can use negative integer also, zero also, or positive integer as well. Okay, so
Okay.
just go through the basic stuff. Otherwise, if all the priorities are same, it will be executing on the basis of the the alphabetic order, because in that
Right.
case priority doesn't matter, no significance. Then I asked you that, okay, what is the reason of the find elements, static, non-static, and all such things. Okay, but try to improve your answer over there. Try to improve your collection APIs.
Right.
Okay, in Java. You were not sure about how exactly hash map. Your answer was totally confusing. You know the concept of hashing and everything, but then you suddenly added linked list suddenly. But when the linked list will happen, when exactly the binary tree will be converted at the time of collision will happen, and then
Right.
it will calculate some, not some like random number will be created that you said. It will be calculated the hash on the basis of the given logic, or for hash code for what, for the key or for the value. It will be calculated on the basis of the given key. For the key, the hash will be calculated, then through some modulus operation, then the index will be calculated, and then the value will be stored at the given index with the hash code and the key. And then the linked list, you're saying single linked list and double linked list, that's fine. Don't divert the topic toward linked list, but when to use and how to use, then you have to explain that. I think I have a video on it, how exactly hashmap
Right.
works, and please go and watch it. These days, these are very important things to know that, right? Then string literals. Don't say I think as pool, right? What do you think? Like it should be on your, like with 9 years doing a lot of automation, focusing on Java and automation all time in your resume and then your interview. Again, these are the basic things that you should aware of it. You should have a proper justified reason behind that, why strings are mutable or immutables and why not mutables, and then where exactly string will be stored. What is a string constant pool? Because you said that is a wrong, totally wrong answer. S1 equal to Shika, S2 equal to Shika, and S3 also equal to. You said 3 objects will be created. No, only 1 object in the constant pool, and 3 references will be pointing to the same
Three
object,
reference.
right? Otherwise, that's why we say strings are optimized. It will not create duplicate entries inside the constant pool like that, right?
Right.
But when you create with the new keyword, then it will create an entry inside the constant pool and inside the heap also. And constant pool is part of heap only. But see, there are many concepts that, okay, you have to learn. If in the constant pool, if the value is already there, again it will be optimized, and the reference will be connected to that particular reference only. So please go through those things once again.
Right.
What is constant pool, string works, and literals, new objects, immutable, mutability, and everything. Okay. Then I give you some functional test cases like add to cart feature. What do you think about that feature? Was it your, I mean, don't you think that, okay, you could have given some really good use
Better
case with
answer.
your
Yeah.
experience, right? Better answer. So some what I observed, I have written also missing out some out of box test cases. You are just giving a very basic scenario. Fine, we'll be adding it. It should be blur, it should be white or what. But you think about for the user point of view, because in your inventory the product is not there and the product is still available, and you don't want to lose the customer also, that okay, suddenly the product is gone, it's deleted. No, we will not do that. We will proper validation messages we will provide to the user that, okay, this is out of box or out of stock, not available inside inventory. Do you really want to move it to somewhere else or just save it? But when you click on add to cart, it should not be added over there. Then I ask you the tricky one that, okay, let's see, the wish list is not there. So that's a good thing that
No.
you told wish list. But if people might ask you, let's say wish list feature is not available in my e-commerce application, then
Okay.
right, so you should be able to handle those scenarios. So like some good negative scenarios for the user point of view, people will ask you to test your testability knowledge. Are you
Right.
really good in think as a user point of view, as a tester point of view, what are the different things that you will consider over here, right? So just like that, people won't ask you some basic scenario. Let's see, you are working in e-commerce, so just you can expect certain questions on e-commerce only. That's why I asked this question
Right.
on add to cart. You do that. Okay. So yeah, the last thing is that the test execution, I told you 300 test cases are there. Then you did some mistakes here. According to, I want, okay, I'll tell you what mistakes, but slightly be more, try to make it more matured answer according to your experience, because your answer were not matching with your experience sometimes with respect to the
Okay.
functional test execution strategy. Okay, like this. And then yeah, Okay, so I give you, so you should have, approach in such a way that what will be your test strategy. So you were saying, okay, no, what is important for production point of view, or some important bugs that we found, only we will do that, only sanity in sense. Or so you should say, no, you don't want to compromise. So give the answer like, we want more time. We will take to, talk to some other resources also. We will divide the work smartly and systematically between two QA resources that we have. That's what the requirement from my side, that two QA you have and only 2 days for 300 test cases. Right? If you have automation, then you should add that point as well. I'm coming on that point also. Then please don't say we are doing only and only automation. Did you realize that while giving the answer? That you were saying we are not doing any manual testing, 80-85% things are automated completely. That is like a very big statement that you are doing a great thing, and then your application is super stable. And with respect to UI also, you have achieved 85 to 90% test cases you have already automated, right? So don't say that we are doing only automation. You have to perform some manual testing and manual test cases. I'm not saying that it is not doable. 80-85% it's doable, but it requires times. People, they don't want to listen these things from your side, that at a time, especially at a time of interview. So you just give the privilege to the manual testing also, which cannot be automated. You have to test it manually. Okay, so that is like, maybe I say that you should improve that completely.
Right.
Okay, then overall, please improve your GitHub knowledge as well.
Yes.
Okay, confusion that you were having with the CI/CD pipelines and all such things, and
Yeah,
then
I forgot about pull and fetch.
yeah, pull, fetch, and all such things. So please, because you're doing a
Yes.
lot of automation, using the Git and then pushing the
Yes.
code, committing the code, pulling, and all such things. So please go through it. So
Right.
don't go, to the interview with the half knowledge like that. Okay.
Right.
Okay. So that's all from my side as a feedback.
Right.
Okay. So I
Right.
think just try to improve that. Take a few more weeks and then improve all these things and then go for it.
Okay.
Right. And
Right.
just a suggestion from my side that whenever you're giving interviews, please make sure your connection, and then I know everyone is with the family and everything, because see, in mock interview it's absolutely fine, but just try to be, because you also be distracted in that case, and the interviewer also
Right.
will be distracted. Just
Right.
just try to be for at least for half an hour, 1 hour, just try to be in an isolated area. But anyways, it's absolutely good. That's all from my side.